seamless, like they're rolling. What do you think about Bron being the ultimate energy guy to Luka being the best player and he's being energized? What do you think about that matchup?
It's great for LeBron. When I would watch them before on offense, and I think just as an aside, like when I was looking at some of the minute dispersal stuff, like in November, they're in the 20s defensively. Well, they replaced 30 minutes of D'Angelo Russell. They replaced another 20 minutes of Cam Reddish out there, and Dalton Knecht was shooting it better, so he was playing more. It was like 25 minutes. So now you're talking about like 70-plus minutes of guys defensively that are just not part of the rotation, even though Dalton's still on the team with the weird trade part of it. So, like, that's been something that's happened on the perimeter that I'm like, man, all right, so I guess they're going to be this good defensively. I'm still not sure about it in the playoffs part of it. But to the offense and to Lou's point about LeBron, like, I think LeBron needs somebody that can carry the load, certainly during the regular season here, because there are a lot of times on offense where it's D'Angelo Russell just freestyling out there, and you're like, all right, you're waiting for the screen, and everything kind of stops, and you're like bent over at the three-point line, and you're waiting, and like even when he was pretty good off of the screen, it just, everything would kind of stop. And then I would see LeBron running point, and I'm like, those look like the best possessions, which still would make sense because of how brilliant of a player he is. But it's like, could LeBron really bring up the ball? Like, can he bring it up 35, 37 minutes a night and initiate your offense? Like, that's asking a lot as this guy continues to be a superhero here. So I thought they would have Reeves initiate a lot of this stuff. And now they have the option of Luka taking that burden because he's one of the best players in the league with all this stuff. Look, these guys, Luka's not even shooting it well. Those three guys are terrific scorers. Like, Reeves really is, I think, maybe a level above the way he's appreciated now that he's in the shadows of these stars. They're all going to live at the free throw line. So Luka initiating the offense and LeBron playing off of it, during LeBron's prime, I'm like, that's a waste of LeBron possessions. But now I think it's perfect because they're huge attacking players. There's also something happening in this league when they did this shift with the way it was officiated about a year ago. All the unintended consequences, officiating the game is a moving target that you're never perfectly going to hit. But bigger players that are drivers are getting away with murder in this game. Like, you can just barrel into guys and nobody's flopping as much anymore. And so, like, guys like Luka and LeBron and on these big drives, I think we see it with Cade, I think we see it with Tatum. I mean, it's a massive advantage because Luka does not drive to avoid. Luka drives to contact, and then you're just in jail at the rim. And I think it's actually maybe the single best offensive option in the league. If I had, hey, the ball, one possession, get me something I like with his passing, I think it's the most dangerous offensive possession in basketball.
I have realized that, especially guys just getting downhill, and the offensive player is creating more contact than ever, and they're letting them play, and they're letting them run.
I'm expecting P.J. Washington to have like a warrant waiting for him the next arena he shows up to.
So, Ryan, let me ask you this. I think what the Luka trade did for a lot of players, too, is put everyone on notice. It kind of made everybody...
Okay, Ryan, we just got off the SGA best player in the league right now. Do you have an opinion about that?
I do. It's Jokic.
I thought I didn't like you this whole time, Ryan.
Why did you think you didn't like him?
Just because he spells his name with an E and never really trusted it.
Well, I didn't have a vote at the time of the birth certificate.
That's fair. We're going, by the way, we're rocking the handlebar.
Yeah, what's going on here? 70s baseball? What is this?
Pitchers and catchers. Yeah.
That's you know what?
I love it.
Very like, it look like a
Lou has this look on his face. He's like,
oh, he's been ride or die, SJ. But by the way, he's gonna win MVP. He's great, but like best player.
Well, yeah.
Best
what
player
do you want me
now?
to do? That's my rook. That's my rook is the MVP. I'm supposed to be proud.
That's fair.
No, man, I get it. I mean, when you're this great as he is, and then it's like, okay, now let me make the argument against him, which, it almost feels nasty with some of these dudes that are this great. But I think whenever you're comparing some of the high volume scorers to somebody like Jokic, it's kind of not recognizing how Jokic sees the game. Like, that Lakers loss was brilliant defense. They spaced it perfectly. They ignored the people they wanted to ignore. They absolutely just stacked the paint against him. But he took 5 shots through 3 quarters. Now, you could argue, hey, Jokic can't have that happen, and I would doubt he would let that happen to him again. But I just think he sees the game in such a different way. Like, there's one year I think he wins MVP where I think he took like 14 shots a game.
It's crazy.
So he's just not going to I'm sure he could score way more if he wanted to. I just don't know that he has that in him the way some of the other #1 options do.
Yeah.
He's a play smarter, not harder guy, is what I'm hearing right now.
That's his problem.
I knew that. I mean, look, I was kind of setting myself up.
We did a thing, Ryan, was like, would Jokic average 37 points, 17 rebounds, or 15 assists? What do you think would be the most likely? I said the 15 assists because he can almost just take 3 or 4 shots now less and do that already.
It would, yeah. The 15 assists, I'd like him to have better shooters because I really think it's going to be a problem in the playoffs seeing some of the stuff the teams are doing against him defensively where, I don't really care who you are. When 4 guys have their foot in the paint and you have a catch at the elbow, unless he's going to start pulling up 15-foot Hakeem shots, which he just doesn't really want to do. There's a lot of guys like, whenever we saw that like scoring burst that was insane last season. Like, I always think about Steph, and if Steph just decided, hey, I'm going to try to get 60 tonight, I think he could do it. I think he could do it way more. But I think there's a lot of guys that could go, I could just be gross for a week, and let's see if I can get 60. But I think everybody learns in this game that eventually it's like, cool points, bro. But, we're trying to, basketball is very connected. Guys have to, just like little kids, I need to touch the ball if you want me to play defense and rebound. So, I think Jokic kind of sees the game that way, and it's look, the MVP is one conversation, but I just don't think there's another player better than him. I think he's on this
thing, yeah. I agree with you, Ryan, but this thing changes year by year. Last year, Jokic was probably the best player in the league. This year, he's doing more of the similar things, but you've seen growth in SGA's game. So when I say SGA is the best player in the game, Jokic is right there. It ain't like it's a big separation for me. But this year, I think SGA has been the best player in the game. And like you talked about, Steph, if he wanted to go out there and go get 60, like he could on a night and night in. And trust me, when it comes to NBA players, if they can do it, they're gonna try to do it. And so there is a window where Jokic could go out and get 30s and go get 40s. But he plays the game in a different way. And for that reason, when you have a guy who has the most 20s, the most 30s, the most 40s, the most 50s this year, he's going out there and putting the team on his back, and he's been able to do it for 4 months now. You got to take that into consideration. I think he's the best player in the league this year.
I just love seeing proud Lou.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Proudly.
And the glaring stat is they're 11 games up. They're the #1 seed. If the Nuggets happen to be a half game back, I think we're looking at a different. I think it's 50-50.
We're having a different conversation. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, at any point, do you think of like, if the other team is that much better, doesn't that help Jokic's argument?
No, because
we didn't make that argument for him.
Yeah, because we never really do that.
But shouldn't we?
I think the MVP should be the best player on the best team. I think that makes the most sense. When we're voting at it, some guy on the 9th seed could average 35.
So would you vote
cares?
Donovan Mitchell if they have a better record?
See, again, I think
because he's still averaging 32 points a game. Like, yes, the team is good, but it ain't like he's averaging 22 and you got 4 other guys averaging 18. It's like, no, I'm still averaging 32 points a game on the best team with the best roster, and I'm still doing my thing at the highest level. Still doing it.
All right.
I just get confused on what we're voting for, but
we are not voting for anything.
MVP, I'm open to it. I'm not open to anybody in the world being better at basketball than Nikola Jokic.
There it is.
I can
Boom.
respect it.
There it is.
I said, if it's not 1, it's 2. It ain't a big gap from those two.
If you're not winning, you're losing, though, Lou. Technically, so there is that.
My guys winning.
I'm still I'm not sure 100% comfortable that SGA is past Giannis.
Oh, dear.
And I'm going to go ahead and change this now to Dallas. He's going to get...
Xin chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu để gửi tặng đến các bạn. Và mình rất mong rằng các bạn luôn ủng hộ mình và đi sát cạnh kênh của mình để ủng hộ mình.